snow, eh? Smiling at. You happy, eh? You thanking us? Mm-hmm. Hey everybody, welcome back to the cabin. Sean James here from myself, Reliance. Happy New Year. It's hard to believe that today's the first day of 2019 already. So I spent the last week down in Southern Ontario with my family for Christmas and had an awesome time. It was so nice to see everybody again, and just a good time to unwind, relax, and just reflect back on the year. But today being the first day of 2019, I'm just getting excited now to get back here, get back into the projects, and just have a super productive year. This is my last year in my 40s. I turned 49 in April. So being the last year of my 40s, I just feel like I want this to be one of the most memorable years of my life, and something I can look back on and just be amazed at what I was able to accomplish in 1 year as one man. And I just want to shock myself this year. So that means being super productive, doing things that are memorable, creating things that are going to last a lifetime, and just kind of creating my legacy. I think this is the year. This is the year that I'm going to do that, and I'm excited to implement a whole bunch of new things, or try out a whole bunch of new things in the outdoors. And part of that is doing it safely and being healthy. I want to get into the best shape of my life, and that means no alcohol this year, eating healthier, more from the land, buying far less food from the grocery store, hunting and fishing and foraging for wild edibles. I want to include wild foods in my diet every single day, and not just wild foods, but also be growing some food here in a vegetable garden I'm going to start in the spring as well. So this is the year to make a complete change to a wilderness lifestyle, or at least as far as I can, and set this place up for future wilderness living, where I don't have to go into a grocery store. I don't have to get provisions brought into me as often. So one of the challenges for me is to document every step of this process. Again, it's something that I'm creating as a legacy for myself. I love that you guys are following along, and I love sharing my life with you, and I'm going to do even more of that in 2019. I plan on filming literally every single day. And I'll post videos not every day, but I'll be collecting the footage and editing probably just once a week, and going into town once a week, or maybe even once every 2 weeks to upload, so I can spend more time doing this and doing what I love to do, so I can share that with you and share that with my friends and family. So with the food thing, I plan on hunting and fishing and foraging, like I said, more often, but that means preserving and cooking and preparing that food. So my challenge is then to find ways of preserving, which means building a root cellar, which will probably be the first project I start in the spring after I finish the sauna, and also a smokehouse as well to help preserve fish and game. So at this time of year, what I can do to provide for myself is I can get out there, do a little bit of small game hunting and fishing, ice fishing on these frozen lakes, of course, which there's all kinds of fish around here. There's species that are basically underutilized that I can catch in higher volumes, that I can preserve and share the techniques that I'm going to use to preserve the food long term. So once I finish those things, after I really get my food systems down, I plan on starting that wood shop, the workshop, and that is probably going to, well, for sure, it's going to be the most ambitious project I've ever done. And I'm looking forward to doing that. I've already chosen a spot on the property. Nice spot. It's quiet, surrounded by trees, nice little pond that I can draw water from, and a little elevated spot. And I plan on doing it a little bit more rustic. I've started to develop, I think, a feel for the land here. But more than anything, I think I'm looking forward to creating another workspace even around that wood shop. So a couple of other goals I've set for myself this year to become a better banjo and a better guitar player. My wife got me a guitar for Christmas, which is awesome, so I get to pick that up and start playing again. My goal would be to incorporate some of my own music into my videos by the end of the year. So hopefully with all these ambitious plans, I have time to practice, and I'm sure there'll be lots of times around the fire at night that I get to do that. I also have books that I can use as reference materials to help with that food preservation. I've got music books to help me with my guitar and banjo playing. So I am using some reference materials, but what I find typically, it's probably what's going to happen, is that I'll read those books and then I'll come up with some idea of my own that I want to try out, and I'll end up building things that way or learning things a different way, learning them my own way. Another thing I want to do is, if you watch my deer hunting video that's going to be released in the next week or two, you'll see that I had a very challenging year. I am learning a new area. The game patterns are different here than I'm used to. It's much bigger forest than I'm used to. And it's been, like I said, very challenging. So it's a few things I did wrong. I was successful by the end of the season, but you'll see in that video that I made some mistakes that I want to correct. So one of the things I'm really going to spend more time on this year is my archery skills and my marksmanship. So I'll be setting up a range here, an archery range that will actually be a full shooting range. So for rifles, for my archery equipment, and also for even like throwing axes and atlatls and stuff like that. So that's going to be cool. I'll have a spot picked out for that as well. So that'll start fairly soon actually. So I'll be shooting literally every day. Like I said, practicing my skills, but also getting my muscles back into shape for that kind of activity. The other good thing is that this place is a lot more comfortable than it was at this time last year, so I'm able to have friends and family more often. You'll see some of the videos, Christmas video last week where my family was here, and the previous week where I had some guys up and they stayed over in the cabin, which is nice. So the place is now set up for that. So I'm going to be doing some things on the land here itself, as well as the surrounding forest, that would be accommodating for guests. So I will be having more friends and family visit this year. Now, as far as my health is concerned, I have gotten in a lot better shape since I started this project almost 2 years ago than I was when I was working in an office. But something I've kind of let slide a little bit is my stretching and yoga that I've done really for a number of years, up until fairly recently, ironically. As I am more physically active, I'm finding I'm taking care of my body that way less than I should be. So I'll be getting back into doing yoga, meditation, and stretching every morning and every evening, just to make sure that no injuries prevent me from having this epic year and lifetime of health and happiness in the future as well. So important to remember to keep that up. That natural food diet is going to help with that as well, will help with my health. So again, be doing more trips so that I can harvest all my fish and game and plants from the wild as much as possible, which means a lot more trips into the wilderness. So canoe trips, camping trips, ice fishing trips, anything that, every time I leave this cabin, I want to be doing something still in the wilderness, still in the outdoors, doing something that I love to do and that is contributing to what I'm trying to do here with this wilderness lifestyle. So I'll be exploring more, but also spending more time filming those beautiful places that you've already seen or that I've visited before, but also new places. It's a lot of interesting locations that are on my bucket list that we're going to go and film and photograph. Wildlife, surrounded by so much wildlife, and I really haven't done a great job capturing that. So this year my goal is to film more wildlife, including like birds and deer. Here the ravens and the chickadees are hanging around right now, and the blue jays. But we've got fisher. I see there's fisher tracks all around the cabin for the week that we were gone. I guess they were feeling comfortable, so they were coming right up to the door. So fisher, otter, marten, bear, moose, deer, wolves. So all that wildlife is, I just want to capture and show you more of what we have around here, because to me it's special, and I think you would agree. Show you the area where I'm talking about putting the workshop. So this trail, when we first bought this this land here, what we were planning on doing is having the workshops. So I was going to do like sort of bushcraft courses here, and this level here, area up here was actually my favorite spot on the property. Probably, well, I guess the cabin I preferred a little bit, cabin location. Next to that, this was it. So there was already a forestry trail. Would have been a logging skid trail coming up through here. It's not traversable by vehicle because there's a real low spot down there and it's really thick. Got a nice level area up here. It's a nice breeze because this is actually the highest point of the entire property, even higher than the cabin, which is back through there. Nice rock pile, lots of trees here. This rock pile I could use for foundation rocks, and part of it is kind of neat looking, so I'd leave part of that. And then all around me are trees that I'm going to show you some close-ups of some of the trees here, because there's a lot of damaged wood. I think what happened is when the guy logged this last 15-20 years ago, as trees would fall down, they would bend over or break and snap off either branches or the whole leader of the other trees that were around it. So you get these damaged tree tops. Plus a lot of the trees have been heavily browsed by deer and moose. So bottom line is a lot of sort of diseased or misshapen trees that are not healthy. I'm going to start removing all of those, thinning the forest out a little bit, let the sunlight hit the forest floor in some spots to let other plants grow up, but mainly just provide more space for the healthy trees. So there's so many like that, so many small, anywhere from little 1-inch saplings up to, well, some full-size trees even that have tops snapped off or that are really leaning heavily. So amazing building materials. I can do probably a lifetime of wood projects with all the stuff that I've got here on the property now. So I'm looking forward to starting to do that. I'm going to do that basically every week. Every week I'll spend half a day or something cutting those down and stockpiling them. Probably up here. I'll stockpile them here where the workshop's going to go. So I have my material storage area essentially right where the workshop's going to be, and a lot of those trees will be used to build the workshop. Now all those big red and white pines that I cut down on Terry's place last April, like 2017, so they'll be 2 years old by the time I use them, so well seasoned. I'll use all those big logs, hew them into probably square timbers in a lot of cases, and make a square timber frame workshop. And then all the extra ones I'll cut into roof boards or into even siding boards. So all the materials for this workshop will be stuff that I've sourced myself from this land or from Terry's land. So I'm really actually looking forward to this project, maybe more than anything. The other ones were essential. This one is sort of a man cave workshop thing that I get to do anything I want in. I can I'll use it for woodworking, making furniture and making implements. Like I really want to get back to making everything I use, like snowshoes. These are great old traditional, actually they're not old, they're traditional snowshoes, but they're modern, they're fairly new. We bought them newer. My wife gave them to me for Christmas 2 years ago. I want to make my own snowshoes from scratch. I want to make my own wood canoe from scratch. Toboggan, other wagons and stuff, wood cogs and gears and levers, all kinds of stuff I want to make right from scratch from the pieces, from the land, from the materials here. So that's what the workshop is for mainly. And then who knows what I'll use it for after that. But even like arrows and, I don't know, leather work, crafts and all kinds of stuff, that will be my shop that I get to work out of. So big plans. So I really like this area. I'll just pan around here and I'll show you some aerial footage of it as well. Sort of how it's situated here on the land. I've got a pond collection, water collection pond, more of a drainage pond there, but it stays wet right almost all the time, so I could draw water from there for drinking and for building projects. And then down here we have our main feeder pond, only about probably 100 meters. That's where all the water that comes down the stream and then down the north side of the property right by the cabin actually originates in this pond up here, so that's always got water in it. So a really, really nice spot. Probably right here. What I'll be doing as well is making a fire pit here in front and another probably cooking area, because the cabin is far enough away that I probably wouldn't head back over there for lunch or a snack or something, right? So nice to have it here. And in fact, the root cellar might end up, instead of behind the cabin, might end up between here and the cabin. But like I said, it's just a cool area. It's highest part of the land around here, backing onto crown land, as you know, the whole property does. But all of that back there, I mean, our land goes back a fair bit out of sight here, but then drops off into a major valley, and all of that is public land. So just a really nice spot. I like it here. I'll show you those trees up here. Those are some of the examples of the ones that are leaning heavily that should come down, because they're not healthy for one thing, and eventually they will come over on their own. I'd rather not be here when they fall over. Yeah, this definitely got hit. It's exploded. This big hemlock here got hit by lightning. It just exploded this trunk all the way down. Look at the big slivers coming off of it. That's pretty cool. It's amazing that they didn't burn this one or the ones around it. And I don't know why this got hit, unless a different tree got hit and transferred to this, but it's exploded. Like, there's no way this is anything other than lightning strike. That's cool. That thing's been dead for a while. That's really dry, but that's massive. It's probably too big for a ridgepole. I'll have to use maybe that one. That'll be 300 pounds alone at the length for the cabin, or the sauna, which would be about 16 feet. So that great big burl on that tree, which the tree is dead, so that's going to be dry already. That's the kind of thing that I'm going to be collecting for the workshop, for the wood shop, so that I can make stuff out of it. So that'll end up being a big bowl or something. I've never worked with a burl before, and there's a few around on this land, so I'll be making a few things and trying out some different woodworking techniques that I've never done before. So I'll take that down soon so it doesn't start to rot, and I'll get it stored under cover so that it's protected from the elements. But like I said, that's part of what I'm doing in the future here, and I'm fortunate, very fortunate, to have all this awesome building material on site. So that's it for this video. I appreciate everybody watching, but most of all, I appreciate everybody following along since the beginning of this project 2 years ago almost. I hope you stick around for 2019. To me, this is going to be, for me personally, this is going to be, I think, the best year of my life. Love sharing it with you guys. I love that my family is showing more of an interest in spending more time here with me. Friends that I'm having up, and exciting projects. I feel comfortable here. I've got the place built enough to live in at least semi-permanently and eventually permanently, and it's just ready. I'm ready to do this thing, and this wilderness lifestyle is something I've always wanted to do, and I feel like this is the year that it's coming together, getting it into a place where I get to start having a little bit more fun. Even though it's been really fun for me, it's been a rewarding experience, getting the place comfortable and ready to do other things like the workshop and utilizing more materials, getting more into the bushcraft stuff that I've always been passionate about since I was young, building shelters and making tools and implements and tracking animals and all the primitive skills that I was so enamored with when I was younger. I finally have a place to do that permanently or full time, and I've got all the materials I could ever ask for. I've got the land, I've got endless wilderness in here behind me, so wild game and fish and just animals and plants of all these things that I love, but I also get to learn more about and spend more time with. I'm already learning more about the animals and the plants that live here on this land, and I'm starting to feel like I'm part of it. So 2019 to me is going to be awesome year. I've got a lot planned, and I hope everybody's going to stick around and watch what I'm up to here. So I'm excited, and I hope you're excited too. And if you are interested in what I'm doing here, please don't forget to subscribe, and appreciate it whenever I get comments and likes and everything else on my videos. It really helps out. And you know, if you think there's anybody else that you think would be interested in following along what I'm doing here, don't forget to share the videos as well. Cali and I would like to wish you and your family a happy new year and a healthy and prosperous 2019. Take care, and we'll see you at the cabin next time.